Hi all, it's Vanessa Love and this is my channel about the mental health field and related topics. I don't know if this is actually related. This just is kind of like there's I think sometimes about telling stories and like just stories about my life and things that like I've told my clients probably 100 times over. But like, there's also like other things where I'm just like, oh yeah, that seems kind of like a life lesson that eventually you should probably learn. But like, if no one tells you this is why, this is why. So I wanted to talk about closure today. I've had a couple of clients and some friends go through this, particularly lately, and I just thought, that's a really good topic. And like, I guess I have to precurse this with like when I have to process something, when I am hurt, I definitely isolate. I will deal with it on my own. Don't worry about it. I'll come back when I'm ready, when I'm not hurt. And so like that's how I do it. I go into myself and I write and I do artwork and I exercise and I do all sorts of things, breath and yoga and talk to friends sometimes and just try and process it, get it over with, get through it, get done, talk it out so much that it's not having effect on my brain anymore. It's out into the world. They're little, I guess, gremlins or something, just going into the world. And so my clients who have been like, oh, but my ex has my favorite jacket. My ex has my shoes. My ex has my expensive bottle of the things. For me, that's just the price of breaking up. Don't don't meet for closure. Don't meet for closure. Closure doesn't mean anything when you meet face to face. When you meet face to face for closure, what you're really trying to do is see if you should be back together. And there have been a lot of times where clients, friends have been like, oh, I just need to go over to my exes and pick up my thing. No, you don't. Send your friend over. You'll be fine. Don't listen. You're going to have feelings once you go over there. And then you're going to be like, oh, damn, maybe I made the wrong choice. And they're going to say something to you. They're going to say, oh, yeah, it's been so difficult without you. And you're going to be like, I know, right? And you guys are going to be back together, and then all the same shit show is going to happen again. And then what? You're going to be in the same position again. Maybe this time you have your expensive jacket or your shoes this time, but like, you're going to be in the same position. I think that all of those things are used as excuses. I think they're used as just manipulations to get really back together. And there are things, there's stories that I kind of want to tell, but I'm also like, I don't know. So one story is that I did tell someone one time I needed space to think. One of the things that I tell my friends about New York is that New York has always provided for me. New York has always set something up and shown me the light of what the reality of a situation is. I went to New York with one of my exes, and it was so bad that I was like, I'm out. I need space. And then after like I knew once we got back that we were done. I just needed to gain the confidence to be like, we're not together, it's okay, we still talk and we're fine as he's someone who I know, but like we were not like it. The reality of the situation wasn't wasn't what I was thinking about at the time. I was thinking the future, because it's so nice to think of the future and all of the things that we could do and have fun and all of the things. And I'm like, yeah, we probably could have, but some of those things could have been a thing. But like more often than not, like the reality of the situation was he wasn't good with money. He had a lot of issues to deal with. and I didn't want to stick by with that. Also, he went to grad school, and from my perspective, we broke up at the perfect time so that he could go off to grad school. And one of the things that I'm like, this is gonna sound heartless, but like, it's just one of those things where I'm glad that this happened the way that it did. Uh, yeah, there's a lot to this. I feel like that's any story I tell. So we break up. His brother gets really sick, is in the hospital, ends up passing away. And I had a feeling. I was just like, this is not something, I know biology enough, I know like physiology enough, I know anatomy enough. This is not, none of this is good. And so I was like, I was out with a friend and just said, I don't think his brother's gonna make it. His brother did not make it. I was there as a friend. I was not there as the girlfriend, to be there for him emotionally. And then he actually met his wife, his future wife, at the funeral. So, you know, he was single. He was off and single at that time. Perfectly fine. I'm glad that I wasn't there feeling trapped, feeling like not wanting to be in the relationship, and feeling obligated to someone because they were going through an emotional crisis. And I know that sounds terrible, but it's one of those things where I'm like, well, I was out of the relationship. I was out of the relationship. One of, I have a different ex, also someone who I dated for about a year. And we broke up. I knew it was over. I knew it was over. Like around this time of year, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, however long it was. I knew. We got back together for a brief period of time. Maybe a week or two, I don't even remember. Maybe a month. And I just let him fail at being a boyfriend because I knew it was coming. There was already a thing that happened because New York provided. I came back from New York. He didn't pick me up from the train station. That was it. That was done. Like you don't recover from that. That nope. Mm-mm. Yeah, we got back together. And I just was like, I know that you're gonna drop the ball again. I'm just gonna let you mess this up, and then I'm gonna be fine. Clear conscious, walk away. And then he had a really rough patch. Apparently, he still thought that we could get back together. He met me to give me my Christmas gift in like February. And it was the most bizarre meeting I've ever had with someone. Because he was like, here's some flowers, here's your stuff back. Do you want to still date? Like, do you? Like, so I think this was kind of a last figuring out if we could be together before he started dating someone else, and I had already been on a couple of dates with other people, and actually one of them is my husband now. So obviously things were moving along for me. I knew in December or late November when we broke up many years ago that there was no chance after that. I don't know why he thought that there was still a chance. I don't know. It was so weird. And that whole thing was weird. Here's your stuff back. Here's some flowers. Is this good enough yet? Like, no. 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 So, you know, like, I think that was closure for him because I mean, he knew after that I definitely did not want to be together. I didn't think that, I thought that not talking for all that time meant that we definitely weren't going to get back together. Like, it wasn't a thing in my mind. That was a possibility. Apparently it was in his mind. I don't know how to, like, explain that to someone. Like, we were broken up. Like, definitely. Like, finally. Like, final, you know, like, it was done. I had enough. And so, like, there's a lot with that as to, like, getting closure, and I just don't think that meeting has anything to do with it. I think that it has to be done away from the other person. It has to be done on your own time, doing your own things and figuring yourself out. If there's something that is very sentimental to you, don't give it to the person who may or may not respect it. Don't put your feelings into someone who may not be there in a month or 2 months or a year. And, just don't, like, there are things that, like, don't do it if you don't have to. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, there were things that I had to get from my ex's place because he had some of my artwork. And I'm like, I could have lost all that artwork. I could have lost that artwork like 100 times over, which I'm like, got to take better care of that stuff. Now I can. But there were times where I'm like, I almost lost all of my artwork. And had he said, I'm going to destroy everything because I hate your face, I would have been like, I mean, valid, okay. I wish you wouldn't, but I understand. I also obviously didn't do anything wrong in that situation, so it wasn't on me. So yeah, like, I just think that the people who are just, they're out to prove something if they're looking for closure, and it might be that they don't really want closure. And I just, as a therapist, I'm like, avoid the pain. Like, if this is gonna, like, know yourself well enough that, like, a situation like that is going to cause you pain, just stop. Don't do it. Like, or you're going to be tempted to be back with that person. Don't do it. Just work on yourself. And if you need the answers, ask for them, like, 6 months, a year later, when it hurts less. I've definitely had that conversation where I'm like, okay, yeah, I was ready. It was like years later. It was like 2, 3, 4 years later. And I was like, what happened? And he said something like, I sabotaged us because he was mad at me for not asking questions about, like, where he was working, what he was doing. Which, like, it didn't dawn on me to ask those questions. So, why are you mad at me for, like, not asking questions? And then, what was the other thing? He was like starting to see someone else or something. So, like, he just kind of sabotaged us so that he could be with someone else for, I don't know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it was. I mean, I have the answer. Like, I at that point, I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, that kind of hurts, but, like, I can't get mad at something that happened 4 years ago that I'm already over. It's just, was there anything? And, he was mad and not communicating properly. Okay, well, I mean, even better to not be together then. Glad there wasn't really much closure there. That's good. Like, we didn't need that conversation at that point. There wasn't actually ever going to be an honest interaction at that point. Like, he'd probably be like, because you're being so mean to me. And be like, but what? I'm glad to have it many years later so that I could be like, oh, okay. No, yeah, we know each other. That's true to that person. Very true, and I'm glad that we're not together. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for you, and I hope that you like and share and comment. Thanks so much for watching.